Hello everyone, myself Jayashree Patil, physics teacher. In the earlier session of oscillations, we have done discussion regarding the simple pendulum, how it performs linear SHM under certain conditions of amplitude. Even we have derived the expression for period of simple pendulum. After that, we started discussion regarding angular SHM, differential equation, and the example of angular SHM. So let us continue the example of angular SHM, that is magnet vibrating whenever is kept in a uniform magnetic field. So let us continue it with the help of presentation. In the earlier session itself, we have discussed how the magnet is performing angular oscillation in uniform magnetic field. So what we have done is, if a magnet is kept in a uniform magnetic field, initially with its axis parallel to the direction of magnetic field, then it remains in the equilibrium. But if it is displaced through a very small angle, say theta, and if it is released, then it performs the angular oscillations. So we have started the proof that how the magnet is performing angular oscillations. For that, we introduced a term mu, that is a magnetic dipole moment, which is given by Qm into 2L, where Qm is the pole strength of the poles of the magnet, 2L be the magnetic length. When the magnet is in the magnetic field, then the magnetic field exerts a force on north as well as on south pole, which is given by Fn bar, or vector Fn is equal to plus Qm into B bar. Magnitude wise, it is Fn is equal to Qmb, and vector wise it is parallel to the direction of magnetic field, which is indicated here by this vector. So this is the force experienced by the north pole. On similar lines, the force experienced by the south pole is given by a vector Fs, that is minus Qm into B bar. So magnitude wise it is equivalent to Fn, and magnitude wise both are equal, and both are equal to Qm into B. Direction wise, Fs bar is directed opposite to B bar, which is indicated by negative sign. So here in the diagram, this vector indicates the force experienced by the south pole. So if you observe these two forces, then they are equal in magnitude, opposite in direction, and are acting at two different points. That's why such a pair of forces constitutes a couple, and the tendency of a couple is to rotate the magnet. So because of this couple acting on the magnet starts performing rotation in the magnetic field. So let us find out that torque which is experienced by the magnet. So in the deflected position of the magnet, which can be observed here on the screen, the torque acts on the magnet that tends to bring the magnet to its equilibrium position. So this torque is a vector quantity. The magnitude of the torque is given by the product of magnitude of one of the force constituting a couple and the perpendicular distance between the two. So here, as per the diagram, this is the force Fn, magnitude wise it is Qmb. This is the force Fs, magnitude wise it is Qmb. So magnitude of one of the force is taken here, Qm, mod of B bar means it is a magnitude, so simply it is Qmb. The perpendicular distance between the two forces is indicated by the distance Sp. The two forces are vertical, That's why the perpendicular distance between them is the horizontal distance, that is indicated by SP. So in the right angle triangle NSP, if we find out the sine theta function, because if this angle is theta, this is alternate to that, so the angle at position N is also theta. So if we find out sine theta, which is opposite side upon the hypotenuse, so here opposite side is SP divided by hypotenuse is NS. So finally this perpendicular distance between two forces SP comes out to be 2L into sine theta. Hence we have this term 2L into sine theta. Further on, the magnitude of the torque can be taken as mu b sine theta, because if we just combine the term Qm and 2L, then that is nothing but the magnitude of magnetic dipole moment. Hence the torque is mu b sine theta. If theta is smaller enough, then in that case sine theta is equated to theta in radians. Hence we have the magnitude of the torque as mu b into theta. Let us discuss the direction of angular displacement and the restoring torque and how they are opposite to each other. Both are the vector quantities, that is angular displacement as well as torque. So here the angular displacement and torque both are perpendicular to the plane containing the magnet and the magnetic field. The angular displacement theta is perpendicular and it is directed inwards, and the torque on the opposite hand is perpendicular to the plane but directed outwards. That's why over here it is written that for clockwise angular displacement, whenever the vector is directed inwards, the restoring torque which is exerted, that is in the anti-clockwise direction. So anti-clockwise direction indicates outward direction. So here it's very clear, clockwise angular displacement theta, restoring torque is anti-clockwise. So they are oppositely directed. So again we'll talk about the magnitude of the torque. Tau is given by mu b theta. Minus sign indicates that the theta and torque are oppositely directed. The expression for torque in terms of moment of inertia is I into alpha. So let me call out this as I. So this is the moment of inertia. So let us equate these torques. So after equating the torques, we have expression for the angular acceleration, that is alpha, which is given by minus in bracket mu b upon I into theta. The bracketed terms are constants because mu is the dipole moment, b is the magnetic field. So magnitude of the magnetic field is constant because it is a uniform magnetic field. I is the moment of inertia, which depends on the dimensions of the magnet. So all these three terms in the bracket are constant. Hence alpha is proportional to theta and its direction is opposite to the angular displacement. So alpha is proportional to minus theta, which proves that the magnet performs angular SHM. So to determine the expression for period of the magnet performing angular SHM, we'll use the expression T is equal to 2 pi divided by under root alpha upon theta. So here from this expression alpha upon theta we can have equal to mu into b divided by I. So if we just substitute it here in the periodic time expression, we have period of vibration or oscillation for magnet is 2 pi root I upon mu into b. So this expression indicates that T depends on the moment of inertia, it depends on the magnetic dipole moment as well as on the magnetic induction, that is it depends on the strength of the magnetic field also. So this is regarding the magnet performing angular SHM. So this we have discussed about a single magnet. Instead of a single magnet, if the magnets are combined together, then let us see how what will be the period of oscillation of the magnets in combined position when kept in the external magnetic field. For that, let us assume the dipole moment for the first magnet is mu1 and it is greater as compared to the dipole moment of the second bar magnet, which is mu2. So mu1 is greater than mu2. There are two possible positions through which we can combine the two magnets. First one is the assist position and the second one is in the opposing position. So in the assisting position, the two bar magnets can be kept with their like poles together. So anyhow, the two bar magnets can be kept together with their like poles together. So here the vectors are indicating the dipole moments of the respective magnets, mu1 for the first one, mu2 for the second one. So here, as per the directions of mu1 bar and mu2 bar, it is very clear that they are in same direction. So resultant dipole moment is added. It is a vector sum. So magnitude wise, it is mu is equal to mu1 plus mu2. So the period of oscillation or vibration in assist position is say T1, which is 2 pi under root I divided by, instead of mu we'll put the resultant one, which is mu1 plus mu2 into B. So here, as the magnetic dipole moment is getting added, that's why the period of oscillation in assist position gets decreased. Let us see what happens in the opposing position. Here, the two bar magnets are kept together with their unlike poles together. So here again, as per the directions of the vectors indicated in the diagram, mu1 bar and mu2 bar are in opposite direction, out of which mu1 we have taken greater than mu2. So resultant dipole moment is mu1 minus mu2. So we'll substitute it in the expression for periodic time. So the periodic time in opposed position is T2, which is 2 pi under root I divided by mu1 minus mu2 into B. So here the resultant dipole moment has decreased, which will increase the period of oscillation or vibration. So like this way, the two magnets can be combined together to have the required periodic time. In order to increase the periodic time, they can be kept in opposing position and vice versa. So let us discuss this condition now. The period in, this is the conclusion, the period in the opposing position is greater than that of in the assist position. This is the condition that if mu1 is equal to mu2, then in opposing position, the period of oscillation becomes infinite because the resultant dipole moment in this case becomes 0. So in the periodic time expression, we can have 2 pi under root I upon 0 into B. That's why what happens over here, that the period becomes infinite, that is frequency becomes 0. So in this situation, the magnet will not oscillate at all. So this is regarding the period of oscillation of the two bar magnets. So like this way, we have completed the 5th lesson from 12th standard physics, that is oscillations. So in the oscillations, we studied in detail about linear SHM, its examples, different expressions which are related with the linear SHM. After that, we studied angular SHM and the corresponding expressions and its examples. Let us continue with the numerical part. Here is the numerical number 22. Find the number of oscillations performed per minute by a magnet vibrating in a plane of uniform field of 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 5 Weber per meter square. So the B value is given. The magnet has a moment of inertia 3 into 10 to the power minus 6 kg per meter square. So I value, that is moment of inertia, is given. The magnetic dipole moment, that is mu, it is given as 3 ampere meter square. So initially we'll try to find out the number of oscillations performed per second and then we'll try out for the required value. The given data is I, B and mu, which can be observed on screen. the frequency of oscillation is the reciprocal of periodic time. So the expression which we have derived for periodic time, the reciprocal of that is a frequency. So this is the corresponding expression. N is equal to 1 by 2 pi root mu b upon I. Substituting the values, we have 1 by 2 pi under root 3 into mu value is 3. So 3 is substituted into magnetic induction is 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 5 divided by the moment of inertia is given 3 into 10 to the power minus 6. So we here 3 gets cancelled, minus 5 minus 6, out of which 10 to the power minus 1 remains at the bottom, which comes up. That's why it becomes 1.6 into 10 to the power plus 1, that is root 16, which comes out to be 4. So 4 divided by 2 pi is the simplification. Now here the 4 is again gets cancelled with 2. So we have finally 2 upon pi. Pi value is always substituted up till 3 decimal places. So here it is the ratio 2 upon 3.142. That's why the frequency of oscillation per second or in hertz comes out to be 0.6365. The value expected is the number of oscillations, that is frequency per minute. For that, the number of oscillations performed per minute by magnet is equal to, say, capital N is given by small n into 60 seconds. In a minute there are 60 seconds, that's why n is equal to small n into 60. So frequency per second multiplied by 60. So we have finally the required value, which is 38.19 oscillations per minute. Next is the numerical 21, a 20 centimeter wide thin circular disc of mass 200 gram is suspended to a rigid support from a thin metal string. So this is the example related with the angular SHM of the disc. By holding the rim of the disc, the string is twisted through 60 degrees. So theta value is given and it is released. So the moment disc is released, it starts performing angular oscillations and the period of oscillation is given 1 second. Calculate the maximum restoring torque generated in the string under undamped conditions. So pi q value is given as 31. That has to be substituted in the calculations. The given data is diameter of the disc, it's given 20 centimeter wide, that means its diameter is given 20 centimeter. If required, the radius can be calculated from diameter. The mass is given 200 gram. Theta is given 60 degrees. The time is given 1 second. So the periodic time is given by 2 pi root of alpha by theta. So periodic time is given 1, which is substituted here. So 1 is equal to 2 pi root alpha by theta. Rearranging the terms, we have 2 pi root alpha by theta, and squaring we have alpha is equal to 4 pi square theta. So this is the first step, because in the torque expression anyhow we require alpha term. So using periodic time we have obtained the expression for alpha. So let us continue now. The maximum torque or restoring torque in the string torque tau is equal to I alpha, where I is the moment of inertia of the disc. Now the moment of inertia of the disc about the transverse axis passing through its center is given by mr square by 2, where m stands for its mass, r is the radius of the disc, multiplied by alpha is 4 pi square theta. So substituting the values, mass is given in CGS system of units, which is converted into SI system, 200 into 10 to the power minus 3. The diameter is 20 centimeter, so radius is obviously half of that, that is 10 centimeter, and squaring that and converting it in meter, we have r square as 100 into 10 to the power minus 4 divided by 2 as it is, multiplied by 4 into pi square, purposely I have kept as it is, multiplied by theta. Now note down one thing, theta is given in the degrees, that has to be converted into radians. Hence 60 is multiplied with a conversion factor pi upon 180 degrees. So simplification of this term gives me finally the term 4 into pi cube divided by 3 into 10 to the power minus 3. Now pi cube is given as 31. So it is substituted over here in the next term. So it is 4 into 31 divided by 3 into 10 to the power minus 3. Hence, the maximum restoring torque exerted by string on the disc is given by 41 into 33 into 10 to the power minus 3 Newton meter. So this is the required value. Numerical number 23. A wooden block of mass m is kept on a piston that can perform vertical vibrations of adjustable frequency and amplitude. During vibrations, we don't want the block to leave the contact with the piston. How much maximum frequency is possible if the amplitude of vibrations is restricted to 25 centimeter? So this has to be taken as the amplitude or x value. In this case, how much is the energy per unit mass of the block? Take g as pi square and it is equal to 10 meter per second square. The amplitude, as they have told, is restricted to 25 centimeter. So A is taken as 25 centimeter. Wherever it is required, it is converted into meter. So here is the situation, platform on which, or we can see it's a platform of a piston. So this is that platform. A block is kept on it. The weight of the block is acting in downward direction, that is equal to mg. So this is the mean position of the block. As per the situation given, it is performing the vibrations such that the block is not losing the contact with the piston or the platform, and the vibrations are vertical vibrations. So this is, say, the extreme position of the system. So at the extreme position, as we know, a restoring force is experienced by the block, which is directed towards the mean position or equilibrium position. So this vector is indicating force, which is kx. So here what we can say is the restoring force on the block is kx, which is exactly equal to mg, because as per the situation, the block should not lose the contact with the piston. So anyhow, at extreme position, whenever the block experiences a restoring force, kx has to be equated with mg. So this is the restriction. Hence, directly we can have the expression for k, which is a force constant, because value of force constant is not given. Hence, k we have mg upon x. Further, to determine the maximum frequency of vibration for the amplitude 25 centimeter, we have the expression for frequency, which is 1 upon 2 pi root k by m. Let us substitute the values. 1 by 2 pi root k we got as mg by x. So mass gets cancelled. We have root of g by x. Now x has to be taken as amplitude, that is 25 centimeter. So we have the further substitutions as 1 by 2 pi square, that's why pi square, and 25 centimeter is converted into the SI system of units, that is in meter. So here we are getting finally the simplification as pi square. Root of pi square is pi, so it is taken outside. Pi gets cancelled. Root of 25 is 5. Square root of 25 is 5. Square root of 10 to the power minus 2 is 10 to the power minus 1. So we are getting 0.5. So finally we are getting 1 divided by 2 into 0.5, that is 1. So finally frequency is equal to 1 hertz or per second. So the maximum frequency of vibration for the amplitude 25 centimeter is 1 hertz or per second. The energy per unit mass of the block can be calculated. For that, energy is given by half m omega square a square. Now, as we know, the total energy of the particle performing linear SHM is always constant. So here, the total energy we are talking about, because the particle is right now at say mean or extreme position, but its total energy is constant. So E is equal to half m omega square a square. So further the half m is as it is. Omega square, as we know, is k by m. In the earlier step we have seen k by m is equivalent to g by x. Hence we have the substitution of omega square as g by x, amplitude square as it is. We want energy per unit mass. So mass is transferred over here, so that we get a ratio E by m. Further on, amplitude square by 2 as it is into g by a. So simplification is done like this way. Then out of this, again, why this is done? Because x is again substituted as a. So g by a term as it is, and mass is transferred over here to opposite side. So we have a square by 2 into g by a, out of which one of the a gets cancelled. Finally, we have g into a upon 2. So g is pi square. The amplitude is 25 10 to the power minus 2 upon 2. So further we have pi square as 10 into 25 into 10 to the power minus 2 upon 2. So the energy per unit mass of the block is coming as 1.25 joule per kg. So this is the required value. In this last session of oscillations, we have completed the whole lesson oscillations. In oscillations, we have studied what is a harmonic motion, what is a simple harmonic motion, what are the two types of simple harmonic motion, that is linear SHM and angular SHM. Under linear SHM, we studied two examples in detail. First one is spring mass oscillator. For spring mass oscillator, we have derived the differential equation. Even we have derived the expression for acceleration, velocity and displacement. After that, we have studied the second example, that is a simple pendulum. So under certain conditions of amplitude, how the simple pendulum performs linear SHM. For simple pendulum, we have derived the expression for period of oscillation. We discussed the laws of simple pendulum, seconds pendulum. Then after that, we switch over to angular SHM. In angular SHM, we derived differential equation of angular SHM. We studied the analogy between differential equation of linear SHM and angular SHM. After that, we discussed the example of the angular SHM, that is magnet kept vibrating in a uniform magnetic field. After that, we discuss the period of oscillation or vibration of a combination of magnets when kept in external uniform magnetic field. We simplified few numericals based on this. Likewise, the very important lesson which is having a weightage of 7 marks so far as board exam is concerned is completed in this last session. Thank you and all the best for the exams.